welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please remember to like this video and hit the subscribe button so that you will be notified of future videos about food, cooking, tips, tricks, etc. So today I am going to be making a side dish that was pretty typical growing up in the house. Even my aunts, made this pretty frequently. So I would consider this Southern Italian, but I really couldn't pinpoint it for sure. It's pretty humble, pretty simple, pairs well with all types of protein, so you can serve this with whatever you'd like. I'm going to be making some fish and shrimp today, and my side dish is going to be green beans with potatoes. Now, I'm choosing to use French style green beans. However, you can use regular green beans, it's not a problem. And I'm gonna go ahead and trim the stem end of it. But because the French green beans tend to be a little bit smaller, I'm not gonna cut them into smaller pieces. I'm just gonna leave them whole, and I'm gonna chop up my potatoes after they're cooked. Now, the other thing, normally seasoned salt is used, the Laurie's brand, but I don't have it because it's really not something that I use on a regular basis. So I'm going to do paprika and mix it with salt and pepper, and that will be my seasoned salt. The other thing that I'm going to be doing differently, I'm going to be steaming the potatoes and the beans. However, if you don't have a steaming basket, or you find that method to take too long, not a problem. You can always just boil the beans as well as the potatoes and then put them together afterwards, but I'm going to be steaming them. So I'm going to steam the potatoes first because they're going to take a little longer, and then I'm going to steam the beans. So I've got one package of French style green beans. I get them at Trader Joe's, but again, you can just use regular green beans. Figure about a pound or so. And then I'm using red skinned potatoes. You can also use Yukon Gold, but I would avoid using a baking potato. So, if you have like the small waxy potatoes, that's fine. And then I've got paprika that I'm going to just kind of eyeball. I'm not going to measure it out. I'm going to be using 2 cloves of garlic, but this is something that you can put as much or as little of. And then for this, I'm going to be using my good olive oil. Now, the other thing that I would suggest with your garlic, for this, you're going to want to finely chop it, but I would avoid using a garlic press. When you use a garlic press, and I really like this one, and I do, I use it, but for this recipe, because you're adding it in raw, it can be kind of strong. So when you put it through a press, it's kind of like crushing everything together and getting the garlic juice out as well, which can be pretty potent. But if you chop it, it's not as strong, or you can slice it very thinly too, but then that's just like maybe too big of a piece of garlic. So I definitely recommend just finely chopping it. Okay, so my potatoes are starting to steam, and I'm going to cover this again, but I just wanted to take a peek. The water is boiling. If the water level gets too low, I will add some boiling water that I have on the side. So to check if your potatoes are cooked through, all you do is take a knife and put it through the thickest part. If you feel some type of resistance, they're not done. So these still need a little bit of time. So, and these are rather large, so it's going to need a little extra time. Please be careful because the steam can burn. Then I've gone ahead and removed my potato. I'm going to let them cool so I can handle them. And in the meantime, I'm putting in my beans. So when they're somewhat cool enough to handle, and this one is not, but I'm not that patient. If you want, you can use like one of these, and just, it'll be like an extended hand for you. And you can cut the potatoes as large or small as you want. I leave the skins of the potato on. I don't mind it. It makes the dish a little bit more rustic. And plus the skins are so thin that it's not a big deal. But if you wanted to peel them off, you can. Your potato, while they're still hot, you're gonna go ahead and add some salt, some olive oil, and the garlic. The heat from the potato will help kind of mellow the flavor out. So I have a piece of tuna that's still cooking, and to my shrimp, I'm just adding some lemon. And I seasoned both the fish and the shrimp just with some olive oil, salt, and pepper. I'm also gonna add some parsley to my shrimp. So I've fished out my green beans as well. Now here's the thing, I hate mushy vegetables, and what seems to be an issue when I've had this, in other households, they just cook the green beans to death, or to the point where it's like a canned green bean, and I just can't do that. I'm gonna add a little more salt, pepper, paprika. The paprika could be just to taste, however, it's more for color here. I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil, and I'm adding this while it is hot, although this can be served at room temperature and it is just as good. And here we have our potato and green beans with olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, garlic, salt, pepper, and paprika. You can definitely play with the proportions of the recipe. If you don't like as much potato, then put more green beans, vice versa. Same with the garlic, again, just please chop it, maybe not pulverize it, and it won't be as harsh of a flavor. Or if it's really not your thing, then if raw garlic is not your thing, then you might want to just saute it in a pan with, and then use that oil that you've been infusing with the garlic to toss your potato and green beans in. I do not put salt on the beans or the potatoes while they are steaming. I just do it after as the dressing, the olive oil dressing. This is another really good one for potlucks because it can be at room temperature, no problem. And the longer it sits, everything starts to taste like garlicky, and it's just really good. For the potatoes, it took me about 25 minutes to steam them through, but I like the texture of a steamed potato versus a boiled potato. I would boil it if I want to mash it maybe, but it's not as waterlogged maybe, and I just prefer it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I will have it loosely described in the description box, so if you'd like to have a little more guidance, please check that out. If you have any other questions, please write a comment down below.